Most leaders think that they're giving helpful feedback. We like to think highly of ourselves, don't we? But more often than not, they're making it worse. Here's the truth. It's not bad intentions. It's just bad habits. Feedback gets vague. It attacks the person instead of the problem. It comes weeks too late. And maybe worst of all, leaders talk too much, listen too little, and never follow up. Any of this sound familiar? If you've ever given feedback and then wondered why didn't that land the way that I wanted it to, this video is for you. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 biggest mistakes that leaders make with feedback and exactly how to fix them. Welcome to the Everyday Diplomat. I'm Michael Forras, a retired Marine Sergeant Major, former U.S. diplomat, and someone who spent the better part of 20 years leading high-performing teams through crisis, conflict, and constant change. From combat zones to corporate boardrooms, one truth has stayed the same. If you can't build trust through feedback and resolve conflict, your team is never going to reach its full potential. In my last episode, I broke down the CLEAR framework, the system that I use to make feedback effective and build a culture of resolution. If you missed that one, I'm going to link it right here. Go ahead and click on that card that's like right up here. Not on this fancy thumbnail that you see right here, because that's not a link, but the card that's right on the top. Go ahead and make sure you check it out after this video because it lays out the foundation for everything we're going to cover. But today, we're getting very specific. We're going to walk through the 5 biggest mistakes that leaders make when giving feedback and then how you can avoid them. If you've ever felt like your feedback didn't land, like your team got defensive, or like nothing ever changed afterwards, the chances are that you've made at least one of these mistakes. The good news, they're all fixable. And if practical leadership insights like this are what you're looking for, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss the tools that we're building here each week. You know, one of the biggest feedback killers is vagueness. Leaders think that they're being encouraging when they say things like, hey, good job on that project, but vague praise is completely forgettable and incredibly insincere. It doesn't reinforce what behaviors should be repeated, so no one knows what to do. The same goes for vague corrections. Hey, tighten up your work. Be more professional. Those phrases don't mean anything specific. They leave people completely confused, second-guessing what you actually want, and often repeating the same mistakes, which makes you get more angry and just repeats that circle. I've seen this play out firsthand way too many times. A Marine that I worked with kept being told to step it up. He wanted to do better, but he had no idea what the heck step it up meant. Was it his uniform? Was it his paperwork, his tone? The result was absolute frustration on both sides because the feedback wasn't actionable. The fix? Be specific. When something goes right, point out exactly what worked. Hey, you did a great job leading that meeting because you kept the agenda on track and encouraged quieter voices to speak up. When something goes wrong, name the behavior, not the person. Hey, that report had 3 missed details that really delayed this process. Specificity is what turns feedback from noise into direction. The second mistake is attacking who someone is instead of what they did. This happens when feedback crosses that line from behavior to identity. You're lazy. You're careless. You're not a team player. When you make it personal, you're not helping somebody improve. You're labeling them. And people don't grow under labels. They defend themselves. They shut down or they disengage completely. I once had a peer leader who used to call people weak if they underperformed in physical training. And although it might be true, you don't say that. Did it motivate them? No, it really just humiliated them. Some Marines pushed harder out of fear, but most just lost respect for that person as a leader. The fix? Focus on actions, not on identity. Go ahead and say things like, hey, you've been late to the last 2 training sessions. That's a behavior, and it's measurable, specific, and completely fixable. Better yet, pair the observation with impact. You've been late to the last 2 training sessions, which puts the whole team behind. That's how you give feedback that addresses the issue without attacking the person's character. Another common mistake is waiting too long to give the feedback. Leaders hold off because they don't want to cause tension, or they hope that the issue will just fix itself. But by the time the conversation finally happens, it's weeks or perhaps months later, and the details are all fuzzy. The person feels blindsided, and the feedback has completely lost its power. I've seen this mistake turn small, fixable issues into really big problems. A junior Marine once struggling with a very specific process, but instead of addressing it right away, his supervisor waited until the performance review months later. By then, the bad habits had set in, and the Marine felt completely blindsided, and fixing the problem took far more effort than if it had been caught early. The fix? Address issues early. Feedback should be timely. That doesn't mean nitpicking every single detail in that exact moment, but it does mean pulling somebody aside soon after the issue shows up. Think of it like a course correction on a ship. The earlier you make that small adjustment, the less drastic the turn needs to be later. Feedback is the same exact way. Address it early and it stays constructive. Wait too long and it feels like a punishment. The fourth mistake is failing to follow up. This is one of the fastest ways that you can kill trust. You give feedback, the other person makes an effort, and then silence. No recognition, no adjustment, no accountability. The message becomes that your effort doesn't matter here. In one of my commands, I saw this pattern absolutely everywhere. Leaders would hold feedback sessions that sounded good in the moment, but nothing changed afterwards. Marines quickly learned that their input was going to some black hole, so they just stopped speaking up. Some of them actually stopped showing up. Morale tanked, not because people didn't care, but because leadership didn't close that loop. The fix? Always follow up. Go back and say things like, hey, I saw you adjusted that process. Great work. Or we made the changes that you suggested and here's how it's going. Even if you don't adopt the feedback, you need to follow up. Hey, I heard you and here's why we were unable to change it this time, but please keep bringing ideas forward. Follow-up proves that you respect the person enough to acknowledge their effort. Without it, feedback is going to feel completely pointless. The final mistake that we're going to talk about is turning feedback into a monologue instead of a conversation. Way too many leaders think that their job is to deliver some epic speech. Here's what you did wrong. Here's what you need to fix. Here's how you should do it. And then they walk away. The problem? People don't buy into feedback that they don't feel part of. They may nod, but inside they're completely disengaged, and I promise you they're saying something else. I once sat in on a session where a leader lectured Marines for 30 minutes straight. By the end, the Marine hadn't said a single word. The leader thought that he had coached, and in reality, he just vented. Nothing changed afterward. Well, actually, it did change, but it wasn't for the better. The fix? Make it a two-way conversation. Ask, how do you think that went? Or what do you see as the biggest obstacle here? Listen before you prescribe. When people feel heard, they're more inclined to accept direction. Feedback is a dialogue. It's not a download. The less you talk and the more you listen, the stronger the outcome. And here's the thing. If you're stepping into leadership for the very first time, avoiding mistakes like these early is absolutely critical because your first 30 days will set the tone for everything that follows. That's exactly why I built the First 30 Days. It's an online course designed specifically for newly promoted or first-time leaders. Inside, I'll walk you step by step through moves that earn respect quickly, establish credibility from day one, and help you avoid the type of missteps that can take months or even years to recover from. The promise is really simple. You'll go from unsure and anxious to respected and in control without overcompensating, overstepping, or guessing your way through those critical first weeks. And right now, to celebrate the launch, this course is available at a special introductory price of just $75, but only until the end of this month. It's just a few more days, I believe. After that, it returns to the regular $97. When you head to checkout, make sure you use the promo code that usually appears right about here. If you're stepping into leadership or you know that you will be soon, go ahead and check out the link in the description below and grab it while the discount's live. I'd be absolutely honored to have you join us inside. All right, let's go ahead and take a step back and recap what we've covered because these 5 mistakes are easy to fall into, and I guarantee almost every leader has made at least one of them throughout their career. Mistake 1 was being vague. When feedback is too general, good job, or tighten up, it's really just meaningless. The fix? Be specific about what worked or what needs to change. Mistake 2 was attacking personalities instead of behaviors. Labels like lazy or careless don't help anybody grow. The fix? Focus on behaviors and connect them to their impact. Mistake 3 is waiting too long. Delayed feedback blindsides people and makes small issues much worse. The fix? Go ahead and address it early while it's still constructive. Mistake number 4 was no follow-up. Feedback without follow-through kills trust. The fix? Always close that loop. Acknowledge efforts, share updates, and go ahead and circle back. And mistake number 5 is talking too much and listening too little. Feedback isn't a lecture. The fix? Make it a two-way conversation by asking questions and listening first. Here's what I want you to remember. Feedback isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about creating clarity, building trust, and helping people succeed. This week, I want you to pick one of these 5 mistakes and focus on fixing it. You don't have to overhaul absolutely everything at once. Start small, be intentional, and you'll see the difference right away. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about creating the conditions where people can grow, improve, and thrive. Feedback is how you do that when you get it right. So here's the bottom line. Feedback is one of the most powerful tools that a leader has, but when it's vague, personal, late, unfinished, or one-sided, it doesn't build trust. It just breaks it. The good news, every single one of these mistakes is very fixable, and when you fix them, you transform the way that your team experiences feedback. Instead of frustration and defensiveness, you create clarity, accountability, and more importantly, momentum. Here's my challenge for you this week. Look back at the 5 mistakes that we've just covered. Which one do you catch yourself making most often? Call it out, write it down, and commit to fixing it in your next feedback conversation. And if you want to keep sharpening your leadership skills, I send out a weekly newsletter called the Diplomat's Dispatch. It's where I share insights that I don't post anywhere else. And when you sign up, you'll also get a free guide I call 10 Things to Never Say as a Leader. You can find it in the link in the description below. Finally, join me next week as we dig into psychological resilience and mental toughness, how leaders stay steady under pressure, reset quickly after setbacks, and help their teams do the same. Until then, lead with clarity, lead with courage, and I'll see you in the next one.